Positively Muskegon, Andy O'Reilly down at the law offices of Joe Bush. Now, this is a beautiful building you've got here.
Thank you. It's the Hovey House at
Yeah.
3818 Houston. Historic home built by Horatio Hovey. So it's been remodeled, I think, 3 times.
Has it?
It's on the historic registry, and I love it. It's the best office I've ever had.
Yeah.
So
all right, you're up for probate court. You've got your hat right in the ring with everybody else. It's a busy year for the courts.
it is.
And it's an important year for elections because, well, let's go back. Before we get to the probate court stuff, let's talk a little bit about you. Are you a lifelong Muskegon guy?
I am. First of all, thanks for having me today.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.
You guys are the stars of the show, man, not me. This isn't about me.
Well, it's great to be with you. I'm born and bred here. I was born in here in Muskegon. Parents were both from Muskegon. Attended North Muskegon. I graduated in 1989.
Hey, that's the same year I graduated.
All right.
Woo! 89, represent.
All right. There you go.
Did you ever think we'd be this old?
No, I didn't.
I know.
So it's every day it goes a little faster.
Doesn't it?
So it does.
I'm not the only one. Thank God.
No, there's a theory on that, but yeah, every day tends to just move a little quicker. And but I've been here, moved back after law school. I went to Loyola University to
Very
start
cool.
in Chicago. I transferred. I had a sister who was ill back here in Michigan, so I transferred after 2 years down there to Michigan State. Graduated from State in '93. Attended law school at what is now Michigan State. Was part of the last class out of Detroit from Detroit College of Law.
Okay.
And graduated in. I finished in December. Walked and got my diploma in January of '98. Took the bar exam in February. And so since May of 1998, I've been practicing law, and it's been a blast. I love what I do.
Yeah.
And putting my name in the ring here for judge is really part of a career path for me.
Yeah. So did you know early on in your younger days, high school and stuff, that you wanted to be an attorney?
I did actually. My mom was funny. When your mom saves stuff from when you're a kid. And so when we bought a new house after school, she gave me a bunch of boxes, went through some stuff and found an essay I wrote in first grade about what you want to be when you grow up.
Really?
And it says, I want to be an attorney.
Really?
Wasn't spelled right, but
Well,
I was able to identify it. And
That's cool.
So it was kind of a neat thing to see.
Lifelong goal?
Yeah. And part of that, my father was an attorney. I never knew him. He did probate and estate planning.
Okay.
He was a trust officer for what was Hackley Bank back then, and passed away when I was 3 months old.
Man.
So I never knew him, but that in my mind that was kind of the idea of what I wanted to do. And I had an uncle who was an attorney and a brother-in-law that was an attorney and worked for them when I was in high school, and that kind of set me on that path.
Sure.
So
Great asset to have. I mean,
oh yeah.
I grew up around truck drivers and welders. I would have been smart to do either than broadcasting.
Well,
I'll tell you that.
I still paid my dues. I washed
Sure.
dishes and worked as a line cook, and if it weren't for Jimmy Moyes at the BLT, I probably wouldn't have gotten my start. So I've done a little bit of everything. I've worked in factories. When I was in law school, I pulled iron and poured iron on a line
Tough stuff.
to pay my way through school.
Yeah.
So I've been on both sides of the coin there and done a lot of work, jobs that I didn't probably have the most desire to do.
We've all done them.
But hey,
Yeah.
it was good motivation. I knew where the end result was, and it helped get me there. So.
Yeah. Talk about your time as an attorney. What have been some of the highlights of your legal career?
Well, it's been going on 19 years now in courtrooms, and last 2 years of law school, I worked in the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office and was prosecuting people in 36th District Court and enforcing personal protection orders in Wayne County Circuit Court. And so that was an interesting introduction to some very different people in those kinds of scenarios. So some of those criminal cases and the personal protection orders were very bizarre and tough issues, people living hard lives.
Yeah.
And so that was an interesting exposure while I was in school. And as a teen working for my uncle and my brother-in-law, I worked a couple of rape trials, and I kind of knew that criminal law wasn't where I wanted to be 100%, but I knew I had some interest there. And it's funny, so that when I had an opportunity to get my start, it really kind of turned into opportunities to go into business law. And so I always enjoyed estate planning and doing probate work. I knew that when I was in law school and was studying it, and it's difficult. Most people don't want to hand a kid that's wet behind the ears all their financial information and say, well, here, I'll trust you. I mean, you got to build a little rapport, and most people don't see a 28-year-old kid as a guy they want to do that with.
Right.
So you kind of have to pick an area that's going to work. I still did some of that work, but I started doing mostly business and real estate litigation, probate litigation when there were issues over a probate estate, and I did some criminal work because there's a decent amount of that, and also divorce work.
Sure.
And so I worked for a business firm, a mid-sized business firm originally, and we had anywhere from 8 to 14 attorneys at any given time, and we did a lot of business and commercial work. So we had some rather large clients. Now the economy changed in Muskegon; those clients went away, and you have to find a way to adapt and overcome. And so that became more divorce, more criminal. And those are kind of the strongholds in the court here, and that ended up, being fortuitous. I have a knack for both of those. I would say from a highlight, one of the most interesting cases I ended up in federal court in New Jersey, representing a hedge fund manager and a trader on an insider trading case. So it was a federal felony case in the state of New Jersey at the time. That was 2011, the largest insider trading case ever in the state of New Jersey.
No kidding.
Sister jurisdiction to the district right next door with Manhattan.
Sure.
Where the majority of the traders are. But the way that's going, a lot of those companies are migrating across the river over into New Jersey. And so that's kind of how that happened. And also at the same time, the companion case with the SEC down in Chicago. And got a very good result on both cases, and had a very satisfied client, and but was a fantastic experience, and not something most people you would find in Muskegon or in West Michigan really handled. And it just happened that I had a relationship. I have the ability, and that's the great thing about the law. If you're a good lawyer, you should be able to tackle virtually anything, with the exception of maybe patent law, where you need a special patent bar license. But you should be able to learn the law, know the law, research, get in there and find out what you need to do to make a difference for your client. And in that case, it worked out really well.
Talk about the move now to probate judge. What's the motivation for probate judge?
Well, I've done a lot of work in the probate court. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Neil Mullally. I've known him for several years. He's a neighbor of mine. He's a great judge. He's a smart man. He's been on the bench for over 30 years. He's got a lot of experience. A couple of things. We want to replace somebody with comparable experience, and we're never going to find anybody with that level of experience right now, but we need somebody who has some core competency, and that's why I'm here. Is I do a lot of work in that court. I've had a number of trials. It's work I enjoy doing, and I think I've got a knack for that. Based on there's a couple things that are really important when looking at a judge. Okay, because most people, the common person, doesn't really know who the candidates are.
You know what? That's kind of our thing here. Let's give people a chance to talk for more than a 3-second block for the news. And the other thing is, too, is when people meet a judge, they're intimidated.
Sure.
I mean, that I met a judge once, and that was enough for me, you know?
Right. I understand.
So I get it.
I understand. Yeah, no, and that's really it, is you don't know who they are. You want to pick somebody, you can't just pick a name out of a hat, and that's why there's a big drop-off usually in judicial voting. But I look at it as being one of about 4 factors that people should really look at. Is you want to have someone that has integrity, that they are a highly ethical person and they're a person of good character. All right, that's one. Two would be, I would say, professional experience. The core competency in the areas of the law that they're going to be dealing with is extremely helpful, so they can kind of hit the ground running when they come in and take the bench. So those are two. The third would be diligence, a hard worker. You want somebody that isn't going to sit back and just take it as it comes, because unfortunately, just like every other profession, there are people who are really great at what they do, and there are people who mail it in, so to speak. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're the judge and you have two people that kind of mail it in for their clients, you still have to do justice. You can't just sit back and say, well, between the marginal work between these two attorneys, I'm going to just make a decision. No, you've got to be diligent. You have to actually go do the work if they don't, because you have to do justice for those people. So you're going to have to go do the work that they didn't do, unfortunately, and you're going to have to make sure that you know the law. You're going to make sure that you're going to have to apply the law based on the facts that are relevant to that case, and you can't just back into it. You're going to have to go do the work and be diligent and get it done and be prepared for when they come into court, because that's what they deserve.
Sure.
Even if their lawyers aren't doing it for them, the judge has to make the right call. So that would be the third, and then I guess I'm trying to think. There's 1, 2, and 3. There's one more. It escapes me.
Well, you're human.
Sorry about
you got
that.
it. That's all right.
Temperament.
Sure.
Okay. You gotta have somebody that's of even temperament. Judges can't be overly emotional on the bench, and in probate court, you're dealing with, this position is probably going to be family law and some probate. You don't know what the state court administrator is going to do. It could stay business court. Doubtful that it will, but in any event, you want someone that still has some compassion, because you're dealing with people that are dealing with real life issues, family
Tough
issues.
stuff.
It is. I mean, it's, you're talking about custody, support, division of marital assets, very difficult issues for people. There's a winner and a loser, and in divorce, usually there's two losers, and unfortunately, the way the system is set up and the way that law applies is you're taking two people that had all these hopes and dreams, and you're legally dividing up their stuff. So it's not a pretty picture for anyone. So you have to have a little compassion, you have to have a little insight, you have to have some empathy, but you also have to have the right temperament. You have to be somebody that's equal, fair, balanced, that's going to be polite and courteous, and that isn't going to be authoritarian or is not going to be overly intimidating. And so those are really the 4 factors that I look at, and in being in front of judges for the last 19 plus years, that's kind of how I've come to look at it. And I think if you look at my track record, I think I'm the right person if you apply those 4 factors.
Okay.
So,
what outside of legal and all this other stuff, what makes Joe Bush go?
I have a passion for this community and for helping people. And part of the reason why I'm a lawyer is I like helping people. I enjoy the satisfaction of knowing that somebody who needed help got where they needed to be, and that I played a part in that. I don't do it for the credit. I do it because I enjoy, literally I get pride out of helping. So I've done that through a number of different charities. Neighborhood Investment Corporation, which unfortunately is now out of business. I was on their board of directors for a number of years and represented them free of charge. So that we did housing for low income. We did financing for low income. We did down payment assistance and support. The properties across the street, the former St. Joe property, if we're looking out the window from where we are, there are new homes that were built. It was an infill project with brand new homes. That was originally a vision of Neighborhood Investment Corporation, and it's finally come to fruition through the city, thank goodness.
Not as fast as anybody wanted it to,
no,
but it's finally here.
It is here, and it looks beautiful, and I'm really happy that it finally came to fruition. But I was on the Neighborhood Investment Corporation board for a number of years. I'm currently on the Mission for Area People board.
Oh, very cool.
Mission for Area People is a fantastic organization We have a really, really nice board, and we try to do as much as we can for as many people as we can.
I've been down to see Diana more than once.
Okay,
you
great.
bet.
Yeah,
she's one of our favorite people.
Sure, I love Diana, and she, the mission works because she's there making sure that all those projects go off.
Yep.
And part of having a great director is having a good board behind her, so we can help support her. But through the supper house, through the backpack program for kids, we'll assist people with bills. The Music for Meds, we raise money really for people who are in the gap and they don't have insurance and they fall in that donut hole. We can help give them some money so they can get their scripts filled. Awesome. It's really tough to see people in the community that are hungry, that need medicine, they need support, and they've got nowhere to go. Yeah. And so that is very close to me and my heart. I love helping those people and making sure they get what they need, and that's why I'm involved in that. I've been on the board for the Bar Association. I did that for 5 years. I served as president. It was a great opportunity to get to know the rest of the lawyers in town. Sure. So I volunteered there. I've also volunteered as a tutor. I did that for the Jolin School in Orchard View. They used to have and I don't believe that, I think they closed Jolin for a while. I don't know if it's still open now, but they had a reading recovery program. So I tutored 5- and 6-year-olds who were struggling and couldn't read. Yeah. They're in kindergarten, 1st grade, and they're trying to get caught up. So I'd go and spend my lunch hours and just read and try to teach them to read. And then I also a junior achievement, teaching economics to 1st and 2nd graders, which was a lot of fun. So getting into the real dollars and cents, and just how money works and how to use it, and how to be fiscally responsible.
I feel like I should be Billy Madison and come to your class in the first, because I've never been. I'm Irish. We're not good at money.
Well, it was a lot of fun doing that.
Sure.
And then finally, I served on the board for Ducks Unlimited. Okay. The sponsors committee, we would do an annual event. We'd raise about between $50,000 and $70,000 every year. I did that for over 10 years. But near and dear to my heart because I studied environmental policy at Michigan State, and so being a little bit of a tree hugger, helping find wetlands conservation money for Ducks Unlimited was huge. A lot of that money went to national, and I was happy that ultimately we were able to help with a little bit of work from the legislators here in town. Get a lot of that money back, and we put in a large program on Muskegon Lake. Over $1 million went in for wetlands conservation. So hopefully we'll have a lot of wildlife and wildfowl using our marsh here in Muskegon for years to come.
Years to come.
Yeah.
You come knocking on my door. Give me your 30-second speech as we wrap things up.
Hi, my name is Joe Bush. I'm a candidate for probate court judge. I'm a lifelong resident of Muskegon County. I have a great passion for this community. I have the background and the experience and the knowledge necessary to make a great judge, and I would ask for your support. I'm ranked as the highest by my peers in terms of all of the candidates and by client review as well through Martindale-Hubbell, which ranks lawyers by blind peer review. So if you don't know me or you don't know other lawyers, at least you know that within the peer review, I am the highest ranked of all the candidates. That's based on years of experience in dealing with other lawyers. And that's ranked on a distinguished ranking based on knowledge of the law and for high ethical standards. For those reasons, I believe I am the best candidate, and I would ask for your support for probate court judge.
On August 2nd.
On August 2nd, please
get
vote.
out and vote. That's what it's all about. Joe, thanks for taking a couple of minutes. Glad to see you.
Yep.
Best of luck in the election, and all the links and everything to Joe's campaign and his Facebook page will all be right here on positivelymuskegon.com. Thanks again, man.
Yep. Thank you.